Welcome back to another beginner-friendly acrylic painting. Today we're going to do a beautiful, colorful New Mexico mesa. So let's get started. Let's start the sky with a beautiful turquoise sky, that beautiful New Mexico sky. I'm going to get a little bit of my phthalo blue, a lot of titanium white, and we're going to add just a tiny bit of that benzimidazzolone yellow to get it over to that turquoise that we love so much from New Mexico, that beautiful New Mexico sky. There we go. Let's lay that down. I'm going to wipe my brush. I'm going to paint my mesas, starting with a little yellow. I'm going to go right into that turquoise, which makes it kind of green. Let's have a little more of that. And then I'll pick up some Quin Magenta. That will brown that green down. Give me a nice brown, greeny brown. Let's put a little titanium white into that. That's a little bit too green. So I'm going to add a little more Quin Magenta. And that's about where I want it, but I want it quite a bit lighter. There we go, kind of a grayish purple. Let's start with that. I'm going right into that blue that I had there. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that Quin Magenta and bring it right in. That was just a little bit too gray, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more purple. There we go. That's better. Wipe my brush. I don't usually wash my brush. Just try not to bring too much water over to your paint. Okay, I'm going to go into my yellow and I'm going to go right in here, build another mesa or another rolling hill. And you can see just letting those colors blend on the canvas, they do half the work for you right there. Wipe my brush again. Now as I'm coming forward, I want to get a little bit lighter. So I'm going to get a little Quin Magenta and white and make a sort of a bright pink. And we'll have that here in the foreground. Let's have a little bit more of that. Just blend the colors right on the canvas. And let's pick up some yellow now. And I'm going to put a little titanium white into that foreground color right there, just to lighten it up a little bit. Looks like I missed just a tiny piece right there. Okay. Make sure we get the edges. Okay, we're going to take 5 minutes to let this dry, and when we come back, we'll do layer number 2. Pause your video and come back in 5 minutes. Okay, we're back and we're going to now dress up our desert scene with some cactus and things like that. So I'm going to get my number 6 and let's mix up some greens and gray greens and things like that. We've kind of got this gray going right here, but it's probably dry. So I'm going to take a little yellow, put it right over here, grab a little bit of that blue, make a bright green. And let's add a little tiny bit of quin magenta to that. And a little bit more yellow. I wanted a little bit more yellow than that. And maybe a tiny bit more blue. There we go. That's what we need right there. We'll start right here. Just put those greens in. Add a little yellow, maybe a little bit of blue also. And I'm going to go from the bottom up. These brushes are so great. You get really beautiful brush strokes. They keep a nice point. Grab a little bit of green. A little bit of yellow. Let's have another one here. These are just very simple little landscapes that you can do in just a few minutes. But look how nice our rolling hills look there. Back in the distance, we've got that gray-green back there. That's really nice. Let's have a smaller one right here. I'm going to wipe my brush. Get a little yellow. Come from the bottom and go up. Let's add a little white to that. Start at the bottom and go up. So you start with the big shapes and then come back with smaller shapes on top. A little more white. Let's have some of that over here also. Little bit of blue, make a darker green. Get that in there also. And maybe just a little bit of lighter yellow green. Over here. Now back in the distance, we want things to be a little bit smaller. So we're going to make really small, just little tiny things in the distance. You don't want them too big because they're supposed to be off in the distance. Let's make these just a tiny bit bigger. Just using the tip of my brush. And then super tiny, really, really tiny back here, just with the tip of my brush. Let's make those a little bit lighter. Just the tip of my brush. Along that ridge line there. Don't make them too bright because you don't want them to pop out and be in a different value than your hill. So a little bit darker. Those were a little bit light right there. Let's just darken them up a little bit. Looks pretty good. And finally, let's see if we can do some really tiny ones back here just with the tip of my brush. They're going to have to be darker so you can see them against that sky. Really tiny back there. Just using the tip of my brush. Well, that is our New Mexico desert. Really quick, beginner-friendly painting, acrylic painting. Be sure to join me in the next video, and remember what I always say, keep painting.